Good afternoon and welcome to Business 360, your complete view of the stories driving business, markets, and the economy. I'm Apa Ongpin and this is the Bilyonaryo News Channel. The biggest fuel price rollback in months hits the pumps tomorrow with diesel plunging by as much as 11 pesos a liter. Peace negotiators say the United States and Iran have agreed on a roadmap towards reaching a final deal within 60 days. The Philippine Stock Exchange Index closes in the red as more foreign investors pull out over the FTSE rebalancing. PLDT files for an initial public offering for its data center arm Vitro in what could become the country's first digital infrastructure real estate investment trust. Infrastructure spending falls nearly 52% in the wake of the flood control scandal. And MTBS Cargo Logistics joins us on board as we talk about supply chain disruptions from restrictions in the Strait of Hormuz to port congestion and regulation in Manila. A jumbo fuel price rollback takes effect tomorrow. Ches Sulit has our top story on Business 360.
Motorists are set to experience some relief at the pump starting Tuesday, as fuel prices are expected to drop sharply this week. Based on data from the Department of Energy, diesel prices may go down by as much as 11 pesos and 4 centavos per liter. Gasoline may see a rollback of up to 5 pesos and 90 centavos per liter, while kerosene may drop by as much as 11 pesos and 82 centavos per liter. Energy Secretary Sharon Garin says global oil prices eased following the ceasefire agreement between the United States and Iran. However, following tensions around the Strait of Hormuz, Garin stresses that this week's fuel price adjustments should remain fixed. She says any impact from recent developments should be reflected in next week's price movement, not in the current round.
We cannot relax until it's very, very clear for us, very, very clear for our country that wala nang disruptions caused by the Middle East war. We will continue to be vigilant and very transparent. And in fact, we will continue to be very proactive in a sense to make sure that yung presyo natin dito ay controlled natin yung at the very least meron tayong konting control sa presyo at yung inventory natin ay binabantayan natin.
Garin also confirms the DOE's prescribed fuel price adjustments will eventually be phased out once the national energy emergency is lifted. For Business 360, Ches Sulit, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
The United States and Iran have agreed to a 60-day roadmap towards a final deal after high-level talks in Switzerland. Jillian Geronimo tells us more.
The first round of high-level talks between the United States and Iran ended in Switzerland on Monday, mediated by Qatar and Pakistan. Mediators said both sides agreed to a 60-day roadmap toward a final deal, with technical negotiations continuing through the week. The talks were held at the Birkenstock Resort and focused on the Strait of Hormuz, Lebanon, and implementation of a previous ceasefire agreement. A joint statement said the sides agreed on a mechanism to reduce fighting in Lebanon and ensure safe passage for ships through the strait. The meetings followed a tense opening after Iran announced it had again closed the Strait of Hormuz and Donald Trump issued new threats against Iran. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance led the American delegation in talks that lasted into early Monday morning.
This is a historic meeting. Never before, outside of Islamabad and here, so outside the last few months, never before has the Iranian and American leadership met at such a high level. What the president has asked us to do is turn over a new leaf, to transform our relationship with the people of Iran and to extend an outstretched hand that says to the people of Iran that if your leadership is willing to give up being a driver of regional instability, if they are willing to give up nuclear weapons ambitions for the long term, then the United States is willing to fundamentally transform our relationship with that country. That is certainly our goal.
Iran said it secured waivers for oil and petrochemical exports and progress on unfreezing assets. Oil prices fell after news of the agreement and continued talks. Iranian and U.S. sources gave different accounts of whether negotiations continued smoothly or stalled at times. Despite disputes, both sides continued exchanging messages through mediators and agreed to keep working toward the deal. Jillian Geronimo, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
The Philippine Stock Exchange Index retreats back to the 6,000 level as foreign funds head for the exits. Business and markets reporter Sachiko Gamboa has the story. Sachiko, floor is yours.
Apa, it was a rough session with a lot of foreign investments being pulled out. Analysts say the selling may be linked to portfolio adjustments as FTSE Russell's latest index rebalancing takes effect. The PSEI closed at the 6,000 level, down more than 1.5%. Almost all sector indices ended in the red, with services being the biggest loser, down nearly 4%. The most active stocks took a beating, Synergy Grid sliding more than 10%, and both ICTSI and Jollibee off more than 5.5%. Investors are also playing it safe after the Bangko Sentral delivered a rate hike last week and signaled more could be coming. It's a different picture, though, across Asia. Markets swung higher after Iranian negotiators said progress had been made in the U.S.-Iran peace talks. Japan's Nikkei 225 rose nearly 2% today. It climbed almost 8% last week to record highs. South Korea's Kospi also pushed higher after surging more than 11% last week on hot demand for semiconductor stocks. In corporate stories, PLDT files for an initial public offering for its data center arm, Vitro, aiming to raise up to 24.2 billion pesos. This would be the country's first digital infrastructure real estate investment trust. Parent company PLDT plans to sell up to 1.9 billion shares in the company with an option to offer nearly 287 million more at the price of up to 11 pesos per share. Megaworld is hitting the brakes on spending. The Kevin Tan-led developer has cut its 2026 capital spending budget by 15%. It's also trimming this year's residential launches to 50 billion pesos from 65. The company says it's a deliberate move navigating higher borrowing costs and sticky inflation. And Double Dragon is set to open the biggest hotel in Mindanao on July 30. The Hotel 101 property will have 519 rooms. And over on Wall Street, markets are coming off a winning week. Chip makers led the rally, including Intel, which climbed 10%. But consulting giant Accenture crashed 17%, its worst day on record, after cutting its full-year revenue outlook. It cited weakness in the U.S. government business and concerns that AI is eating into demand for consultants. That spooked investors, dragging rival Cognizant down 10% alongside it. In other Wall Street news, SpaceX wrapped its first full year of trading. Elon Musk rocket's company priced at $135 a share and closed Friday nearly $192. That's up more than 40%, but it's still a large pullback from the initial excitement from investors who have grown wary over SpaceX's high valuation. And elsewhere in the world, the British pound weakens over uncertainty over the political future of UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. U.S. President Donald Trump claimed that Starmer is resigning. There are now whispers that a leadership change could come within days. And that's all for my markets report for today, June 22. Apa?
Thank you, Sachiko. That was Sachiko Gamboa, our business and markets reporter. We're taking a quick break. Coming up, it's not always smooth sailing for the cargo industry due to challenges spanning from bottlenecks in ports to empty containers. Maria Teresa Santos of MTBS Cargo Logistics joins us next. This is Business 360. Welcome back to Business 360. I'm Apa Ongpin. From the Strait of Hormuz to port congestion in Manila, supply chain disruptions are driving up logistics costs. To help us learn more about the issue, we've got Maria Teresa Santos, General Manager of MTBS Cargo Logistics and a member of the board of the Customs Brokers of the Philippines, no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So tell us, what's the biggest pressure point right now driving up the shipping and logistics costs?
Currently, the pressing issue is the empty containers that been overstaying at the port. So there are a lot of shipping lines that do not have their own container yard for the return of empty containers. So with that, our importation are also affected.
Yeah, because there's no room for new containers.
Exactly. Even the shipping or the vessel itself are staying in the berthing area for almost 1 week already.
Wow.
So we have shipments over.
Grabe naman ang ano.
Yes, sir. So we really don't
that,
know.
that delay is costing hundreds of thousands of pesos.
Exactly. It's not only in the seaport but also in the airport because due to the fuel price hike, most of the importers are also diverting instead of sea freight, they are doing air freight. So double the volume of our air freight also. So vice versa, the congestion from sea freight and air freight are not doable right now. So the Bureau of Customs are doing their best, especially the return of empty containers. That overstaying should be from 90 days as allowed. It's now trimmed down to 60 days. And those overstaying should be penalized and not need to pay duties and taxes. So that
in some areas, what do you call this? The Bureau of Customs is actually basically seizing the containers and auctioning them off.
yes, that would one of the process that they are doing right now. They need to seize these containers, empty containers, in order to pay the corresponding duties and taxes, and that would add up to the government revenue at the same time, instead of overstaying.
Yeah, I imagine though that that's legally quite a mess, right?
Exactly. It is more on the reason that these shipping companies don't have regulating bodies that are impending to them. So we are pushing this JAO, or Joint Administrative Order. This is since 2019 that we are pushing, no? That the government should help us in the logistics industries. These are more on regulating the shipping charges, because before, these shipping charges are only 3 charges. What do you call this? The line charges, only the terminal handling charges, docks fee, and manifest. But right now, this is almost 12 liners charges. From 30,000, it's now 120,000 per container charges.
Good Lord.
Yeah. So
I mean,
this
that
is
exceeds actually the cost of shipping the container, right?
It's very excessive. And so we from the logistics industry are crying out and asking for all the help from the Bureau of Customs, the OTR, Marina, PCCI, Philippine Chamber of Commerce. We have a meeting with them. So we are really pushing and helping the trucking industry that this JAO must be implemented the soonest. Because the trucking industry are the one affected of this port congestion.
Yeah, okay. Have you ever actually seen operational disruptions linked to the fuel crisis, the tension in the Middle East, particularly around the Strait of Hormuz? Or is the impact of that still medyo indirect?
It's indirect, but the impact is more on doubling the freight charges. Even from the origin, the freight and the trucking charges from origin, from the supplier side, already doubled.
Yeah.
So it will, again, add up to the cost here in the Philippines once the container arrives.
Will that go down after this thing is settled?
As of the moment, I don't think it will go down as long as there's no regulating bodies that will regulate the shipping charges of these shipping lines.
Lalo na this destination charge, no? You guys have been complaining about that since the war started.
Yes.
That
it's actually add up, because that problem is since 2019 that we are pushing for this policy to be implemented already. Okay,
so whose desk is this on? Is this on Ariel's on Commissioner Nepomuceno's desk?
Yeah, with the help of our good commissioner, Ariel Nepomuceno, he's trying to help us, no, the logistics industry, and everyone that would help this joint administrative order to be implemented. He's the one heading already, instead of Marina, instead of PPA, instead of DOTR. So he's the one finding ways.
So he took the initiative?
Yes, he took it.
Okay, so, but it still is going to require signatures from everybody, right?
Yes, it is. During 2019, it's already in the Congress.
Yeah.
We've been there. So it was stopped.
Why does it have to go through Congress? It's an administrative order.
Yeah, yes,
The
but
secretary should be able to issue it, right?
from Department of Finance, it should be transferred to Congress and the Senate. So they are the one that approving to have this
So
jail.
it has to be a law.
Yeah. So during the time of President Duterte, they already mentioned that it should not only JAW but an executive order. So that's the reason why it was stopped there. So now the Commissioner of Bureau of Customs help us to again check on this JAW that will help trim down all these shipping charges plus the port congestion that will help the trucking industry to eliminate this cost.
What are we going to do about the empty containers? In other words, do we build new container yards to put them in?
Actually, that's a requirement for a shipping company to have their business here in the Philippines. They should have their own container depot.
Yeah.
So the government
with a specified capacity.
The equivalent of 90 days. That's also the capacity of their container yard.
Yeah.
So it's now the government, the Bureau of Customs is helping out sourcing where area they can have their empty container be stationed. So we have already the Bulacan.
Yeah.
So extending now to Bikutan. So they are looking at that place to be put at these empty containers. So right now, if the government will not help us, that specific law will implement this kind of regulation for the shipping lines, there's no way out for us to go. Mm-hmm. So it's like a helpless problem with us.
In a typical shipment, how would you break down the landed cost today between logistics and freight, versus the value of the goods themselves? In other words, it was my earlier question. Yeah. Are these various charges now exceeding the value of the cargo?
Almost equivalent to the value of the goods.
Good
so
Lord.
I have that shipment via air. The value of the goods is $300.
Yeah.
And the equivalent of the storage is almost the same because I wasn't able to release the cargo, that air freight, within 3 days. It ends up 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So the storage per day is causing the impact on the cost of the
Is that the
goods.
problem of customs, that they're not getting around to checking your container?
It's not the problem of the customs because on the processing of our documents with the Bureau of Customs are fast, very fast, because of the direction of the Bureau of Customs or the commissioner itself that they need to fast-track the processing. It's more on the system. For example, the air freight, PSI already closed.
Yeah.
And Pair Cargo is the one handling their cargo itself. So the capacity of their warehouse doubled. So I think there's a problem operationally inside that causes the problem with us releasing the cargo itself. But the custom processing itself, there's no problem with it.
Are your clients still able to absorb these higher costs, or are you already seeing a clear pass-through to consumers? I mean, in other words, the final price to you and I must be going up.
It will be going up unless otherwise our clients will have a good planning, shipping planning, inventory planning of their much needed items to be imported, because if they are importing it urgently, the cost especially will be higher. Mm-hmm. So if they need to plan ahead for their importation.
Yeah. When container yards or return points get congested and shipping lines start running out of space, what does that situation actually look like on the ground for you and your clients?
It's going to be a chaos already because
Well, it is chaos already, no?
because loaded containers are stuck inside the port. Empty containers, we have no.
This is all in ICTSI?
Both ATI and ICTSI, but most of the volume of importation by sea freight is in ICTSI.
Yeah.
And also the return, before you can return of empty containers inside the port, you have a double booking. You should be getting the laden containers.
Yeah.
Then you can only get inside the empty containers. So double transaction should be.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we can also lessen the cost of our logistics costs, like the empty container booking. That's add-on cost already. Tabs booking is another line of charges that will be passed on to the clients.
ATI is in Batangas?
ATI is in port area side near Manila Hotel. ICTSI is in the north, MICP. And ATI also have in Batangas. So they are doing the
container
bulk
handling?
Mostly bulk cargoes and the motor vehicles like Toyota.
Yeah,
that's the
Ford,
one.
those guys.
Yeah, so also containers they have also.
Yeah. In those bottlenecks, who typically absorbs the cost in practice? Is it the truckers, the importers, or the shipping lines? And how does that negotiation play out?
Right now, the one handling that cost is the truckers, who is really the one affected right now. Because a truck with empty containers have these empty containers for about 10 days or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So that cost should be, he should be delivering a loaded container per day of 30,000. So he is losing 30,000 per day per truck.
Wow.
So he is absorbing that cost actually.
Yeah.
So part of it can be billed to importers, but because brokers cannot absorb that, it's not the problem of the broker, but we need to help our clients.
Yeah, definitely.
To lessen this cost.
How quickly do detention and demurrage charges escalate in these situations, and how big of a hit can they be for a single delayed container?
For a single delayed containers being returned, or the empty detention is for the empty containers. Once the loaded is pulled out, delivered to client and emptied, it should be delivered back to the container yard, the shipping line. Mm-hmm. So if it will not be delivered to the container yard of the shipping line, it will. The counting is on a day-to-day basis, calendar day.
It's a storage fee?
Detention charges.
Detention charge.
Yeah. So if your loaded container is inside the port, we have storage and demurrage.
Yeah.
So double charges.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's really killing our clients.
Okay, if you could change one thing right now to ease the pressure on the industry, what would it be? Get the GAO signed?
Yeah, it's a long battle that we are doing in the logistics industries, that this GAO must be implemented. It will lessen the shipping charges, also with the help of all the government agencies. They should also, I think they...
Is it possible that we just don't have enough ports? Isn't that the bottleneck?
Enough for port right now, it is because of the congestion that's happening, but usually...
No, I mean, even before this, there was port congestion.
Yeah, since last year and every year.
No, I mean, even during the time of GMA, even during the time of Pinoy, no?
Yeah.
Port
During
congestion has
peak
been an
season.
ongoing problem. And part of this is everybody's going to Manila and Batangas. What about Subic? There's a perfectly good container handling port there.
Usually, all the containers coming in Manila, it is because more of our clients or the importers are here in Manila. So we are using Subic for our Subic importers. We have also from Batangas for our Batangas Laguna clients. But the cost of shipping passing through Manila is more cheaper compared to Subic and Batangas. So that's
Why
the
is
reason
that?
why. It is more on the transit time from Manila to Batangas and Subic, long distance travel. So the freight cost is much higher. That's one of the issue there. So
Well-
maybe we need to improve our port.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a it seems like an obvious solution.
Exactly.
Is we just need to have more
To widen
capacity.
up. Yes.
Capacity, di ba? Okay, thank you, Maria Teresa Santos, General Manager of MTBS Cargo Logistics. More stories when we return. Up ahead, infrastructure spending slows even further in April by nearly 52%. And the Basis Conversion and Development Authority is looking beyond New Clark City to power the Pax Silica AI Hub, which could demand at least 5 gigawatts of electricity. Keep it here on Business 360. Welcome back to Business 360. I'm Apa Ongpin. Infrastructure spending in the Philippines remained weak in April, dragged down by the flood control scandal. The Department of Budget and Management reported a 52% drop to 41.5 billion pesos compared to last year. This marked the 10th straight month of decline. For the first 4 months, infrastructure expenditures also dropped sharply by 45.6% as project completion and payment processing remained delayed. Despite this, overall government spending rose 11.1% in April, driven by higher subsidies, transfers, and personnel costs. The Department of Public Works and Highways is giving its officials back the power to approve infrastructure payments under a new order. The order signed by Secretary Vince Dizon restores and even widens the approval powers of regional and field offices. Regional directors can now sign off on contractor payments of up to 300 million pesos and district engineers up to 100 million. That's despite earlier anti-corruption calls to lower those limits in field offices. The DPWH has not said why it kept the higher thresholds. From the flood control scandal to the anti-dynasty bill, there's already a growing pushback over a string of controversies. BNC anchor attorney Karen Jimeno has the story.
Bayan Chairman Teddy Casino says their group will challenge House Bill 8389 or the anti-political dynasty bill before the Supreme Court if it becomes law. Speaking on BNC's At the Forefront, Casino expressed skepticism that the Senate can pass a stronger measure, noting that some senators are part of political dynasties.
Of course, first things first, we will question this at the Supreme Court because we think that this totally goes against the intention of the framers of the Constitution. Pinagbawal nga nila eh. Pinagbawal nga nila yung political dynasty. Why does the law allow it?
Casino says large-scale anti-corruption rallies prompted lawmakers to push for an anti-political dynasty bill. He also announces that Bayan will join protests in the last week of June against various controversies, including the flood control controversy.
In fact, this coming June 28, we will be participating in the rally initiated by the White Ribbon Movement and the Kilusang Bayan Kontra Kurapot to protest both the flood control scandal na hanggang ngayon hindi pa rin nare-resolve at saka yung mga katiwalian collected with Vice President Sara Duterte in the impeachment complaint.
The anti-political dynasty bill is part of President Bongbong Marcos's priority measures. Attorney Karen Jimeno, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
The impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte is set to begin July 6, and the prosecution already has a game plan. Which charge do they lead with, and how long could this trial drag on? Hannah T. joins us with those details. Hannah, what can you tell us?
Apa, the House Prosecution Panel wants to begin its case against Vice President Sara Duterte with the article involving her alleged threats against the first couple. House Prosecution spokesperson Dia Adyong said the panel's preferred order of presentation would start with Article 4, which covers the alleged assassination threats against the President, First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos, and then Speaker Martin Romualdez. This would be followed by Article 1 on the alleged misuse of confidential funds, Article 3 on her alleged bribery of education officials, and Article 2 involving alleged unexplained wealth. Apa, as the pretrial conference continues, prosecutors also revealed that the defense has listed 97 potential witnesses, including 51 who are common to both sides. The prosecution, for its part, is seeking 62 trial dates compared to the 30 requested by the defense, with both camps expecting to present a large volume of evidence and testimony once the trial opens on July 6th. Apa, with a number of witnesses, exhibits, and hearing days being requested, prosecutors believe that the impeachment trial could extend well beyond September. Those are the latest here at the Senate. Back to you, Apa.
Thank you for that report, Hannah. Could be until September. Up next, the Basis Conversion and Development Authority is looking beyond New Clark City to power the Pax Silica AI Hub. Keep it here on Business 360. Welcome back to Business 360. I'm Apa Ongpin. The Basis Conversion and Development Authority is looking beyond New Clark City to power the Pax Silica AI Hub. BCDA President and CEO Joshua Bincang revealed this to the editors. The AI-focused industrial zone is expected to need at least 5 gigawatts of electricity due to power-hungry data centers. The Maharlika Investment and Corporation and other global investors are already exploring energy projects. These include solar and battery storage facilities. Officials are also considering new infrastructure like an LNG pipeline to support future power needs. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. warns of possible severe El Nino that could extend to 2027. He said government data indicated a high probability that the country would experience prolonged dry conditions. As a response, the government is stepping up preparations, such as expanding irrigation infrastructure and promoting climate-smart technologies. Japan is raising its visa fees for the first time in nearly half a century. Beginning July 1, a single entry visa will cost about 5,700 pesos and a multiple entry visa around 11,400 pesos. That's roughly 5 times the current rate of 1,100 and 2,300 pesos. Japan says the increase brings its fees closer to other G7 nations after years of a weak yen and rising costs. Fugitive businesswoman Mika Tan of the MFT Group is pleading for, quote, space and safety as she faces an Interpol red notice and multiple criminal cases. In a June 19 call with investors, Tan said the Interpol red notice is a technical procedural matter and not a final finding of guilt. She told investors she continues to work on recovery and settlement efforts, calling the SEC case her top priority. But she said it's the non-bailable syndicated estafa cases that are blocking recovery, and that if those are withdrawn, she could personally address the SEC complaint. Tan is facing a non-bailable syndicated estafa warrant from a Lipa City court, as well as a separate warrant from a Taguig court for alleged securities regulation code violations. The SEC alleges MFT Group, later Foundry Ventures, operated an unregistered investment scheme that promised guaranteed returns of 12 to 18%. Bangko Sentral Governor Eli Remolona Jr. has requested the reappointment of Monetary Board members Walter Wasmer and Jose Querubin. Their terms are set to expire on July 2, prompting concerns over leadership continuity in the central bank. Remolona told Philstar that he is waiting for the president's decision as appointments are made by Malacanang. The possible retention of both members would support continuity amid inflation and economic risks. We're taking a break. Business 360 will be right back. Welcome back to Business 360. Jetour Auto Philippines is growing its presence across the country with new dealership openings. G. Baroga has the story.
Jetour Auto Philippines, under the United Asia Automotive Group of Bilyonaryo Romel Sitin, is shifting into higher gear. In the second quarter alone, the company opened 3 new dealerships in Lanang, Davao, Calasiao, Pangasinan, and Calamba, Laguna. Jetour says the expansion is about making its vehicles, sales services, and after-sales support closer to more Filipino customers. The company also sees these new openings as a sign of the growing confidence of the local market in the brand. That momentum is reflected in the numbers. Based on Campi data, Jetour is currently the country's leading plug-in hybrid electric vehicle brand. At the opening of the Lanang Davao dealership, Bilyonaryo heir Timothy Sitin shared that each new dealership represents more than just business growth.
And openings like this are never just about a new building or a new showroom. They are about the people, the families, and the shared belief that make it possible. Every customer who walks through these doors should feel that they are not just buying a car. They are being welcomed into a family that values them long after the sale.
For Jetour Auto PH Managing Director Lito Jose, the company is ready to support customers well beyond the point of purchase.
We understand that the world of mobility is evolving rapidly, and we are ready to lead this transformation toward a better, more sustainable future. To give you even greater confidence and peace of mind, we offer the best after-sales service in the industry.
And Jetour's expansion plans are far from over. Jetour Manila Bay is expected to open soon, with more dealerships in the pipeline before the year ends. For BNC Mobility, G. Baroga.
With a world title opportunity potentially on the horizon, Ifugao boxing sensation Carl Martin says he is ready for the next chapter of his career after rising to the top of the WBO Super Bantamweight rankings. Mark Patriarca reports.
Carl James Martin says he is ready for whatever comes next after officially rising to the #1 spot in the WBO Super Bantamweight rankings. In an exclusive interview with BNC's The Scorecard, the unbeaten Filipino fighter said years of hard work have finally paid off as he moves within reach of a world title opportunity. Martin, who owns a perfect record of 28 wins with 21 knockouts, is now the mandatory challenger for the WBO title currently held by Japanese superstar Naoya Inoue. After spending years climbing the rankings, Martin said he feels the biggest fight of his career could now come at any time.
Pinaghirapan po namin and pinaghirapan ko rin po yung makarating sa part na yan. And meron na po nakahandang 3 fight para sa akin. 2 po sa Amerika and 1 po sa Saudi. And syempre, para sa mga paghahanda ho, yung pinaka-priority po natin dyan is world title fight or title eliminator po.
Martin said the journey to number 1 was far from easy, but added that the wait has made him even more hungry for a shot at a world title. He revealed that possible fights are being discussed in the United States and Saudi Arabia, although his primary focus remains a title eliminator or a direct world championship bout. While many consider Inoue one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, Martin believes he has the tools to compete with the undisputed champion.
Hindi naman po nagkakalayo na parehas kaming tao lang din na siguro masasaktan natin siya pagdating ng makatama tayo ng suntok sa kanya. And yung bilis lang din, kahit papano kung anong meron siyang bilis, kailangan po natin higitan yon. And marami pa po siguro sa mga game plan namin para kung sakaling kami ang maglaban, ready po tayo at hindi tayo dehado sa laban.
For now, the Filipino contender continues to train while waiting for his next assignment, knowing that as the WBO's number 1 contender, his world title opportunity may be closer than ever. Mark Patriarca, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
And that's Business 360. We'll keep tracking the moves that matter across markets, policy, and the economy. I'm Apa Ongpin. Thank you for joining us. Keep it here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.